Turn it up.
Greatest hits.
The music I like.
1FM 91.3. Night Call with Simon Lim.
My special phone-in guest tonight is Lionel Lim, a personal branding strategist, and we'll find out a bit about personal branding from Lionel. And when it comes to family and matters of the heart, Lionel was a caregiver to his father, who later passed away from cancer. So it's going to be a very interesting interview. Welcome to my show, Lionel.
Thank you for having me as a special guest, Simon.
Now, Lionel, for the sake of my listeners, give me an update on what you do as a personal brand strategist.
Well, as a personal brand strategist, I help both companies and individuals build their brand online through Google and social media.
And how did you get started working as a personal brand strategist?
Well, to be honest, it happened as a natural progression because back then I was starting out my own business, and through the strategies which I used, I saw results. And from there, I got inquiries from both B2B and B2C, and I think it was also time for me to expand and help others improve their brand as well.
And in a nutshell, what advice would you be able to give, let's say, to someone who's in their 40s or 50s and they hope to, create a personal brand? Perhaps, he or she would like to make a statement or to be seen as a mature influencer.
Wow, I think influencers are the in thing nowadays. So honestly, I think if you are in your 40s or 50s, you will definitely have many interesting and enriching stories. So that's a very good starting point. So I advise listeners to start with a story, and a story must have an interesting angle which is able to connect emotionally to your audience.
All right. Well, hold that thought. We'll chat some more right here on the show on 1FM 91.3. I've got Lionel Lim, a personal branding strategist. And Lionel, stay with me on the line, okay?
Sure, thank you.
Night Call with Simon Lim.
Lionel Lim is my special phone-in guest tonight on my show. Lionel Lim is a personal branding strategist. Hi, Lionel.
Hi, hello, Simon. Hello, everybody out there.
Okay, Lionel, how long have you been working as a personal brand strategist?
I have been working as a personal brand strategist for, 10 years? Yeah, about 10 years, yes.
Wow, okay. And why do you continue to work in this field?
Personally, it's very gratifying to see the results of my clients. So, for example, for the mid-career professionals who engage my services, I'm happy for them when they share that they actually get headhunted, not once, not twice, but many times online. And I think that's something which people actually look out for. And also for parents, they look for me to help their kids build a brand so as to get into the causes of their dreams when it comes to both universities and polytechnics.
Okay, so even as young as like 17 or 18, you think they do need a brand, a personal brand?
Yes, definitely. It's always good to start early.
How interesting. Can you give an example of, let's say, someone who's in junior college and they're looking for, to establish a personal brand?
Well, I think whether you are in junior college or polytechnic, it is always good to have a portfolio of sorts so as to share with your audience, whether you're going for an internship, an interview, or maybe an institution of higher learning, some of the key strengths, your takeaways from your past experience. So it's not just about the academics, as we know, it's not just about the grades, but sometimes it's also about your CCAs, how you contribute to the community, what are your takeaways, your characteristics, what gives you the X factor that makes you stand out from the rest of your peers. Yes, basically that's it.
And how do you think men and women's roles have changed over the years? What do you think are some considerations where the modern man or modern woman are concerned, in the area of personal branding?
If you ask me, I think the lines between both men and women have definitely blurred over the years. So nowadays we can see some guys actually stay at home, they can cook, they can take look after the kids, whereas their wives or their spouses go out and work. So it's really up to their own arrangements. But if you ask me from a personal branding angle, I would say that there are still some tips which everybody can adopt. And the first I would definitely focus on is the differentiation. So what makes you different? Whether you are a stay-home person or a person at work, what makes you different? That's number one. Number two is about the value. what kind of value can you bring that you are the only person that can offer this kind of value?
How interesting. And I'm speaking to personal brand strategist Lionel Lim right here on my show. Lionel, don't go away. I have some more questions for you, okay?
Thank you, definitely.
Night Call with Simon Lim.
My special phone-in guest is Lionel Lim, a personal branding strategist. And when it comes to family and matters of the heart, Lionel was a caregiver to his father, who later passed away from cancer. So, Lionel, tell me about your relationship with your dad. Were you very close to him?
Well, my dad was just like the typical Asian father, very stern, very distant, as I always remembered him to be. And despite the fact that, we live under the same roof, we hardly exchanged extra words besides the "Hey, good morning," "Take care of yourself," "What time will you be back?" So it's just these very common, non-threatening topics. But besides that, we will always be hiding in our own rooms, doing our own stuff. So that was my relationship with my father.
What was the experience like, caring for your dad at home? I mean, what did it take to look after him when he could no longer do certain things for himself?
Well, after he was diagnosed with cancer, his health deteriorated very quickly, and it was also then that I initiated some action to help him. So the first thing I did was basically to offer to bathe him because he had difficulty bathing himself and wearing his clothes. But coming from his perspective, I thought he felt very embarrassed, and there was also some form of resistance initially. But
How old was your dad at the time?
my dad was about 62.
Wow. Okay.
correct.
Only 62.
Yeah, because he actually came out of a coma, and because of the coma, his leg muscles were very weak, so he couldn't actually stand. He had to walk with the frame, and he was very, very stick thin. Correct. So I think what finally happened was that he relented. He realized that he couldn't manage the daily chores like bathing himself, so he allowed me to actually wash his hair for him, wipe his body dry, help him wear his clothes. And it was also then that I got to know him better. So that was also an opportunity for us to so-called bond better, to break the walls between us, because as guys, we don't really talk much to each other previously. So even though it was very unfortunate that he was down with cancer, but it gave me an opportunity to re-know this person I called father. And I think being a caregiver is actually very tiring, because there will always be disagreements, tantrums, and even frustrations. But I always tell myself that I will put myself in the shoes of my father, because no one wants to get sick. And if I can do my little bit to actually help him feel better, I would have done my part.
So, in a nutshell, what did you learn about yourself from being a caregiver to your late father?
From being a caregiver to my late father, I learned that I'm actually mentally stronger than I thought I was, because when I first received the news that the doctor said he didn't have many more months to live, it was like a bolt from the blue. I didn't really know what to do. So appearing strong in front of others, I could dig deep into myself to find the strength, to overcome life's challenges, and to let him live out the remaining days of his life with dignity. I think that's a big lesson I learned.
Thank you for opening and sharing this with all of us right here listening to my show. And Lionel, I must ask you some more questions in my next segment. So I'm speaking to Lionel Lim. Lionel Lim is a personal brand strategist. So stay with me right here on the show.
Okay, Simon.
Night Call with Simon Lim.
My special phone-in guest tonight is Lionel Lim. Lionel is a personal brand strategist. And Lionel, it's that time of the night to do some self-reflection. So what's one personal thing about yourself that you're still trying to improve?
Well, I am trying to improve my flexibility because I think as we grow older, our bones become a little bit stiffer. And for me, my hope for 2023 is to have my palms touch the floor when I do a forward fold.
So I'm picturing this rubber man,
No, not that rubbery, but I guess it definitely helps, and also removes the aches and pains. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you unwind after a long day? I mean, what do you usually do at this time of the night?
Okay, by this time, now it's about 10 plus, I would be preparing to go to bed. But before that, I always have a habit of reflecting on what has happened. So for example, did I do a good deed today? Did I make a difference in someone's life? Because having that little flashback gives you the impetus to bring a smile to yourself and say, hey, well done. And of course, tomorrow will be an even better day. And that keeps me going.
And Lionel, you're a personal branding strategist. So what do you do to stay positive-minded and self-assured? Your job requires you to give out good vibes and exude confidence.
Well, I think in order to be able to help others, I must first be in good shape. So number one is adequate sleep every day, because sleep helps me to refocus my energies, align my thoughts, and help my clients achieve breakthroughs. That's the first. Secondly is I will always make time for exercise, whether it's going to the gym for weights training or doing yoga practice.
So how many hours do you require, sleeping time?
Sleeping time, as doctors will say 8 hours, but today's society, everybody's busy. It's true. I mean, if I can find 6 hours, I would be happy. Yes.
That sounds so familiar. I think a lot of people survive on, 6 hours, 7 hours, some even 5 hours.
Correct.
Now, Lionel, what's one good advice that someone gave you and, you'll always remember this advice? What did he or she say to you?
Well, I really love this piece of advice my mom gave me. Okay, it goes like this, short and sweet. If you have it, show it. So it's very true. I mean, because I always believe that we have greatness in us. If we choose to hide it, then no one can see it. But if we are able to share our gifts, our talents with everybody else, then we can, as what Rihanna says, shine bright like a diamond.
That's why you're a personal brand strategist. Thank you, Lionel Lim, right here on my show. Thank you so much for being part of Nights with Simon.
Thank you, Simon, and good night, everybody.
Before you go,
thank you.
Everybody, your Instagram handle.
Okay, my Instagram handle is lionellim.com. LionelLimDotcom.
Thanks for connecting, Lionel.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
On FM 91.3. Night Call with Simon Lim.